It's your boy ConcertViz34. Thank you guys for joining me on another Saturday night stream. Today I want to talk about some of the information I have about what goes on with ticket brokers, the secondary market, and trying to buy tickets to concerts. I'll be sharing some information about that. Couple quick blurbs. Follow me on Twitter at ConcertViz34, Instagram ConcertViz34. Right now, again, for Facebook, currently not accepting friends. But again, you can always check me out on Twitter, on Instagram. Glad to be with you guys yet again. A lot of this stems from my passion of going to live shows. Patrick, good to see you. I see you checking in there. But it also stemmed from my knowledge of people who worked or are currently working in the secondary ticket marketplace, and some people that have worked or are working for actual ticket brokers. And there are some gray areas, but we're going to talk about some things. And this is a lot of my videos. Some of it is opinion, and you'll have some of my opinions on this. A lot of my information is conjecture or educated guesses. But what I'm going to be going over today, I actually have firsthand accounts of people that are giving me this information that, again, either worked in the industry or are still working in either the secondary ticket market industry or in some sort of website that is partially a broker or partially listing tickets for sale for anyone to sell or consign. So we'll start off with what really got us here today, as far as this idea of, well, if tickets sell out, which they do for certain artists, where else can you get tickets? And there's options to go online. 20, 30, 40 years ago, there was not the internet platform to facilitate ticket transfers, ticket sales of any kind between one person to another. Just couldn't exist. So you had to trust someone on the street. You had to trust someone at a ticket broker, brick and mortar facility, or someone, just a guy you knew, a big corporation or business that just had a suite at the venue, and you could buy from them, or they had seats that they had, and that was part of their business. They own these season tickets, and you could try to buy from your friend or from your boss or from someone else that had the capital to have season tickets or access to these shows. And really, back in the day, you could line up and get tickets. So I mean, it was a little different than it is now. But the internet changed the secondary market. John Dix, thank you for checking in. I know you're watching the Sixers and UFC. I appreciate you checking in. I'm gonna watch the Sixers after this because that is my squad. But I don't really see them that much because of my love for hockey and other stuff. But I'm gonna check them out to see if they can beat them Warriors. I know they was up at the first quarter by 1. Let's go Sixers. But anyway, like I was saying, internet changed the secondary market. It changed how we bought tickets. I remember in the early 2000s going to Camden Yards and my aunt dropping me and my grandma off. I spent the summer with my aunt. Grandma was there for a week or two with me as well for part of that summer. And we wanted to go to an Orioles-Tigers game. And I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm out of town and I want to go to this game. And we bought from some guy on the street, really good price. Seats were in the shade. Beautiful park, by the way, Camden Yards. I've been to about 4 or 5 games there, I believe. And we bought tickets from this guy, and hey, man, it seemed like a good deal. We got in, there was no issue, but this was the end of that being more acceptable. People still sell on the streets, and sometimes they have to back away from the venue. But now, if you're going to a baseball game, first off, you should never buy a ticket until the week of the event. You really shouldn't. You shouldn't. It's stupid to buy a baseball ticket early, but you can get all sorts of deals. And this is also starting to be more present in the concert marketplace, where you can get tickets below face value. And that wasn't always the case with concerts. With baseball, tons of tickets. Certain basketball games, middle of the week, tons of deals. Hockey, tons of deals. Football, if your team is really bad, you could get a good deal on a ticket towards the end of the season. A cold game, is raining out, and someone doesn't want to go, or there's just brokers lower their prices to sell what they can. So the internet has become a place where we can get tickets instantly With the click of a button, with the tap of a browser on your phone or on your computer, you print it out or you scan it from your phone. And that changed the way that tickets were bought, and it changed the way that you could, at the last minute, go to shows. You first had like the eBays, which started off where you just make bids. Highest bidder wins. Then the websites came, Vivid Seats, StubHub, and different ticket brokers made their own sites where they listed inventory. And now you have SeatGeek was around before the apps. SeatGeek and TickPick and Ticket IQ, there are these different applications that really made it so, okay, now you don't even have to be on a computer. Just get on your phone, check the app, get going. StubHub caught up. Other secondary ticket vendors have their apps, and obviously the primary has apps now. So now everything can be on your cell phone. So that's where we are, and there's pros and cons. And one of the pros is you can actually say, you know what? You can bet against the market. You can bet against the market because you can say, you know what? Tickets may have sold out. Tickets may be expensive right now, but I guarantee you the week of the show, a lot of these tickets are from brokers that need to get something for their ticket. A lot of people bought extra tickets. A friend can't show up, something changed, change of plans, they're busy. Someone with money bought this entire season seats package at an amphitheater, and they don't want to go to this show. They wanted to go to all the rock shows, and the Migos are coming to town. Or they wanted to go to all the R&B and hip-hop shows, and Def Leppard is that show they didn't really want to go to. So you can buy a ticket last minute, and sometimes you pay more than face. Sometimes you pay about the same. And many times last minute, you're going to pay below face. And that's what the secondary ticket marketplace has brought us. But at the same time, that's not always the ideal thing that you're going to get a deal. There's a lot of brokers that overprice tickets, that jack up ticket prices and are trying to make a little bit of money on it. For some people, just paying a little bit more takes away the stress of the on sale. For other people, it's not right. I only will pay face value. But I want to talk about some of the stuff first on what goes on with ticket brokers online. So ticket brokers, okay, there's different types. You have some companies that are literally 2 or 3 guys, male men or women, and they really run that non-stop. That is their life. 2 or 3 guys. Sometimes I'll hire a kid to go to the box office to buy tickets. Those are some ticket brokers. Other ticket brokers are like a corporation. They have a lot of people. They have 15, 20, 30 staff members. Some of these facilities, like even Ticket Network here in it's in South Windsor, Connecticut, in my neck of the woods, that has at least 100 to 200 employees. Last I checked, that are in that office, and then they have different supports across the country. So some of these ticket brokers are a couple people running it out of their house, running it out of a small office space. Some of these are large corporations, and they have to find ways to get tickets. But one of the things that you'll notice or you'll see is that they don't necessarily own all the tickets they list. Sometimes they consign for people. So some businessman says, hey, I can't sell these. I don't have time to list these tickets. List them for me. Give me a cut, or you get a cut for helping me list these tickets, and you can have some of my inventory. So they do that, called consigning. Sometimes they'll do it for any average Joe. They'll help you sell a ticket. But other things is they make relationships, right? These ticket brokers, especially in Broadway, they make relationships with people. A lot of these people have been established in this market for 20, 30 plus years. So they know the people at the box office know them. So they're able to make friendships, take a risk, and also get rewarded for those risks. And what is that risk? Well, here's why ticket brokers and venues work together. They work together because this is a feast or famine market. By that I mean Madison Square Garden, the XL Center, Saratoga Performing Arts Center. They know there are certain events that are going to sell out, right? But that's a minority. There's very few events that sell out in the music industry. that truly are a sellout before you get in. Most shows, it's sometimes last minute sellouts, or they just don't sell at all. There's seats or there's open lawn area. But these ticket brokers, they take a risk by saying, I'm going to buy the whole season. For sports teams, I'm a Sixers fan, as you know, and a Yankees fan, and there's been ups and downs with the Yankees and Sixers. But there were ticket brokers who have had Sixers season tickets for 30 years. So when the Sixers were bad, even though I supported them through their rough patches 5, 6 years ago, they still own that season ticket package, and they had to sell stuff at a loss. But now the Sixers are one of the best teams in the NBA. I don't think they're gonna make the championship this year. I'm just being honest. I hope they do, but they still have some ways to go. They got to get healthy. They don't have certain pieces. But the point is, if you own season tickets to the Sixers, or you were locked in prior to all the fans coming in for Simmons and Embiid, you have pretty nice seats, and you now have a ticket that is valuable. You can sell that for over face value, right or wrong, because the demand is there. Philly fans are packing, just like they're going to go pack Citizens Bank Park for Bryce Harper when he comes for the Phillies there. They sold about over 100,000 tickets, or something like 80,000 or 100,000 plus tickets just by Bryce Harper signing. Well, guess who's going to make some of that money? It's the ticket brokers the Phillies, there were tickets to the Phillies for 20 or 30 bucks, unless the Yankees were in town, even Mets Phillies. But unless it's like a big team that's an American League team that only comes every 3 years, someone took that risk. And concerts are the same way. There were certain concerts where they're not selling that lawn out. Matter of fact, there were some shows like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I'm not discrediting Earth, Wind, and Fire. The Hartford lawn for the show I went to a couple years ago, it's a 22,000. Bryce Harper. Oh, Patrick said, did you see Bryce Harper? I didn't see that part. I saw him saying he was going to wear 3 instead of 34. Talking DMB, speaking of DMB numbers, because he wants to respect Roy Halladay. Bryce Harper, just quick, Patrick, and we'll talk more about this after when I finish this. But Bryce Harper, to me, not worth the money. The way to win in the MLB is to have a young core. Now, the Phillies have some young players, but Bryce Harper, to me, I don't think he's going to be clutch in the postseason. His batting average was a 276 last year. I don't believe in these big contracts. And again, I'm a Yankees fan. I know how big contracts work. I know how they fail. Now the Red Sox, they had Chris Sale. He was worth investing money into. And David Price just got out of a really deep hole that he would have probably been stuck in if he didn't have a good team behind him. But you look at Mookie Betts. I mean, you look at they're buying the box. John, you talking about you talking about baseball? Or you talking about what I'm talking about before, the concerts? But yeah, anyway, we'll get back. We'll get to that after. We can talk a little baseball after because I have some opinion. Oh, Bryce. Yeah, so they're buying. Yeah, but you know what? The thing about baseball, I'm tempted to keep going. But one thing I'll say about baseball, we talk about it a little bit later, is that temporary hype may only last that year. Because remember, baseball, the Nationals had Bryce Harper forever. And attendance wasn't sold out every time. And attendance was low on certain nights. So the hype is there because he signed a big deal. But if they don't start winning, look at the Angels, Anaheim Angels. they had Pujols and Trout. And then now no one shows up. There's a bunch of green everywhere. Now, to be fair, they'd still support the team, but the team isn't. They had Ohtani as well. But anyway, we'll get back to that. Let me focus. I'm going to focus, guys. I'll be better. But anyway, these ticket brokers invest in the entire box office. So while you'll see outrageously priced tickets for certain events with popularity, there were other events, like when I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire in a venue with a 22,000 seat lawn. Well, that venue they shut the lawn off. They just said, you know what, Earth, Wind, and Fire in Hartford can't sell out that lawn. And that's all right. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire, they're legends, but they have a niche market. Right now. I mean, back in their heyday, hey, they was it. But, one of the, rest in peace to Maurice, one of the singers passed. And in New York, not in Detroit, there's not as many R&B brothers and black folk in Connecticut. There's a lot of black people in Connecticut, but that's not true. But anyway, I'm saying, like, the market for R&B isn't as big as drawing out, because a lot of the fan base is older. You know, you're not going to get a lot of the younger kids, even though there were kids slightly younger than me. I was 27 at the time. But anyway, the point is, Earth, Wind, and Fire couldn't sell out that venue's lawn. But every broker who has season tickets to the Xfinity Theater had to take a loss there or had to flip those tickets. So because they accept this risk, the box office allows them to buy these tickets. And they know that they're reselling tickets. Live Nation knows, Ticketmaster knows, but they're assuming risk, and they're assuming high risk. You know, these ticket brokers, they don't just, now some of them are very greedy, and I know people who have spoken and broke bread with other ticket brokers because of their business that they're working with. But a lot of these people, they're not, again, you think that these tickets are selling for $1 bajillion. Some of them do. But for every big sale, you have big losses, almost like gambling. People think that all of these gambling experts makes tons of money. Sometimes they get a lot and they lose a lot. And that's not to defend the ticket brokers, because some of what they do is very, very low life, very, very shady. It's talking about having all these servers. You can look online. Some of the ticket brokers who have gotten out of the game have shared their experiences, but they literally have all this internet, you know, this technology to scoop up tickets illegally with the bots, with the different, you know, connections to the internet that are faster. Right, they lose more than they win. But what, and I want to talk about a couple things that people, and I talked about this last year, but I'm going to repeat it again. There's some things that people are confused about, which I can break down. Why, first off, people ask, why are the same tickets on 5 different sites? So there's 2 different ways, and the second way is the more common way, especially if you see it on 3 or 4 different sites. The first reason that they may be on multiple sites, some average Joe is trying to get rid of these tickets. They bought these tickets, they can't make it. They don't, you know, they didn't know what they were getting into, or, you know, hey, they were thinking they could make a quick buck, but they couldn't. You know, oh, I'm going to buy these One Direction tickets. Oh, demand goes down. That's a real life story. One Direction, one of the years they were there, tons of sellouts nationwide. Closer to the day of events, tickets were $50, $60, $70 below face on StubHub, because the demand outweighed the supply. They were playing stadiums. Anyway, some people are just trying to get rid of tickets that they can't, concerts they can't make. Like I said, they're not into rap, but they're into the rock shows, but they got the season seat. They will sell them on multiple sites, and they'll just list on both. And sometimes it's dangerous, sometimes it's not, but very rarely does it create a problem, because most times you're going to get a sell on one, and then you see the email, and then you just take it off the other. That's a very small percentage of people. The main reason, if you see it on multiple sites, there are point of sales programs and applications that ticket brokers use where they can list on 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different sites, right? And if it sells on one of those sites, it will then remove it automatically. The listing will be removed from other sites. And these are through applications. And there's a big business in selling ticket software to have a listing on multiple sites. And if it's, you know, if it sells on one, again, it'll remove it on all the others. And that's why you'll see ticket brokers, most of those tickets where it's on 5 or 6 different sites, it's being ran by a computer. And this is all technology, and it's all with the advancement of technology. This is what ticket brokers do. So that's why you'll see it on a bunch of different sites, because ticket brokers have these programs, and they're very safe and effective. And, you know, it also, you know, you'll see the same tickets for different prices on different sites based on that site's fees. And in that case, what you want to do is you want to go to the site with the lowest fees, or the site with the lowest price, because sometimes it's priced this way and one, you know, on Vivid Seats, and it's on StubHub another way. So that is something that does happen. The other thing is, some of these ticket brokers have their own site, and they list the same tickets on StubHub and Vivid Seats. Now, Vivid Seats and StubHub do not own any tickets, and I can confirm that. Now, they may have, have certain tickets set aside for if something goes wrong, but they do not list tickets themselves. They are purely secondary ticket marketplaces. And certain other, like if you live out here in the New England, there's a ticket broker called Ace Ticket, right? Ace Ticket is known in the Boston area, Bruins, Patriots, Red Sox, anything in the Northeast and Boston, they have season tickets too. Any venue in the Boston area or Massachusetts, Eastern Massachusetts area, they have tickets too. So they will have their own site where they'll list tickets to, and then they have their person. They'll list the same tickets on Vivid Seats and StubHub. And what that does is they can, obviously, if it sells on their site, they're gonna get it's gonna benefit them a lot more. But they can raise it to a national audience. StubHub and Vivid Seats, they get more reach there, and ultimately, wherever it's sold, you're going to get different people. So certain people, certain businessmen and women have had relationships with Ace Tickets before the internet set up. So some of the people buy these seats through acetickets.com, or they just call them. They have money, they're corporations, they're rich people, successful people. Hey, give me these tickets here courtside. I'll just tell me the price. I'll say yes, probably get them. So they'll have clientele in their city, and then they'll list on StubHub and eBay, and eBay owns StubHub. They bought StubHub. I think it was in the mid 2000s, but they'll list them on different sites. So it gets confusing, but essentially brokers will list on a bunch of sites because they want to have their reach be felt, right? And even ticket brokers like Prime Sport is a ticket broker that then some of these ticket brokers create partnerships with leagues or actual, teams. So Prime Sport has some special things in LA, I believe, with like the Lakers. Last I checked, it may have changed, but they've had some relationships where they have certain top-notch seats, that they have access to, they have season tickets to, that are then sold on there, and they attract certain clientele. Prime Sport has an NCAA deal where they deal with the hospitality packages and tickets, where NCAA gives this ticket broker these tickets, and then they price them out and do all this stuff, but they're only VIP or top-notch packages, hotel, sometimes a meet and greet and all this special stuff, flight, and then they give you the tickets too. So sometimes ticket brokers, because of their time in the game, they get entrusted with, hey, you list tickets for a living. How can we sell these hospitality packages? Here's the tickets, here's some money, go do the job for us. So that does happen. And then, so John Dix is talking about those VIP packages for D&B shows for StubHub. Now, with that's a good one right there. I don't know for sure because, again, my contacts, StubHub had an office here and they left to Salt Lake City, so I don't have the same contacts of people I knew that they moved with StubHub to Salt Lake City. So for that, I don't know what they're doing, but I know, essentially those packages for D&B, they're like $2,000. It's essentially like a warehouse premium package, and sometimes you get VIP amenities. You don't meet with the band. No, it's not a meet and greet at all. But essentially, I think what's happening is it's either D&B's management is working with StubHub, or the venue, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, is giving StubHub. I really think it's I think it's the artist to StubHub directly. I really don't think Ticketmaster's involved because Ticketmaster's trying to make money. And John, that's a good point. People will be misled by that. And this is one thing that I'll get into now. And that's the thing. John just said, especially rich parents who are clueless. What ticket brokers, how they really start to get profit, and how StubHub really, and again, StubHub doesn't own tickets, neither does Vivid, or they're just marketplaces. They don't sell anywhere else. Vivid they're not brokers. But how they really make their money is certain clientele just says, you know what? Tickets are sold out for this event. It's a popular concert. It's Drake and the Migos, and it may be a football player in that city. They just throw their money at StubHub and say, look, give me tickets. And the reason why you have a warehouse premium package essentially for $2,000 on StubHub is because of that exactly, John. 99.9999% of people will not buy that package at all. But you have people that are clientele of StubHub, clientele of Vivid Seats, that will say, you know what, I'm feeling good. I want to buy these tickets, and for $2,000 is nothing to them. And is that right? Is that wrong? Well, I don't think tickets should be priced at $2,000. But if someone has that money, has that capital to just throw $2,000 at tickets, and it's only a couple tickets, right? Yeah, Patrick says meet and greet for $20 for Tim Reynolds, right? But it's like it's a warehouse pack. It's like you get a poster, you get this, you get that. But if someone's dumb enough to buy those tickets, or they have the money, and it's only a certain amount of tickets, it is what it is. I mean, if you think about it, and people just think tickets is in its own separate lane. Think about people who buy beachfront property. Think about people who go to a city. You have a guy like, a CEO or someone who's making, $100 million a year. Not every Joe, or even someone who's making 50 or 30 or $40 million a year. When you have money like that, they just go to these resorts, and these resorts charge them whatever. That's exactly what StubHub and whoever they're partnered with is trying to do. Now, most of those tickets won't sell, but just one or two of those selling is going to be a good sell. That's going to get them a couple $1,000, because there's $2,000. The actual value of that for the venue, for the band and StubHub, you could just say $100, because it can't be any more than that. The pose, all that stuff, like let's just say it's $100, $200 for them, because the warehouse packages are what, $250? What are the warehouse packages, John? It's the same exact thing, and you're paying like that, and they're making a profit off that. But to me, I'm okay. I don't really have an issue with that, because all of those listings are still on site, and it's a very, very minuscule percentage of those tickets. It's only 2 or 3 listings per show. Last time I checked, maybe I'll check when I get off. Oh, $395, right? So the warehouse package is $395, right, for DMB, and that same idea is being sold to more richer clientele on a smaller level. Yeah, poster, gift bag, all that stuff. Yeah, that's what they have on StubHub. And StubHub is doing, I've noticed that they have Ariana Grande, they have this, they have that. And I think they've wanted to do that. But again, if someone's willing to pay, if someone's dumb enough to buy that, it's kind of like, hey, it is what it is. As long as, my only issue is if every good seat is a $2,000 seat now, that's when it's a problem. And to me, those same shows, the same DMB meet and greet stuff, all that stuff, you're going to find tickets for most of those DMB shows at face value the week of the show. So I have no issue, because that happens everywhere. Again, airplanes, property. So when you get a hotel in a certain city, if you go to Miami Beach, which I did, I was able to get a nice hotel for my budget. But there's a hotel 3 blocks down that's outrageous. So, but as long as there's a bunch of hotels that are for an average hardworking person like me, and I'm only 28, so I'm just starting to get into income streams now that I didn't have when I first started working at 21. But as long as I'm able to afford to get to Miami Beach for a decent price, I don't care. I don't care if 2 blocks down there's just overpriced hotel or like VIP villa, that's how Miami Beach is. But I was able to get affordable, and there was a bunch of stuff that's affordable in Miami Beach if you ration out your money for a vacation for a special event. Now, yeah, you got kids, you got stuff, bills, other stuff that or you're paying off loans, and I've had to pay off certain stuff in my life to get to where last year I got to go to Miami Beach. But as long as most of it is reasonably priced, I don't care. And that's just me, and some people may be upset, and that's your right. But for ticket brokers, for secondary markets and ticket brokers, the reason you see certain tickets so high is because certain clientele will buy it. And I don't have numbers, because again, I work in insurance, so I don't know. I don't have the numbers. I don't have what's selling. But I think the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind is tickets are priced high on StubHub, on that, on eBay, on Vivid Seats, on SeatGeek. They aggregate all the sites, and they're ridiculous. Ticket City has another ticket broker that has their own site. DreamTix is out of DC, I think. They're another big site that has their own site, but they list on other stuff. But most people aren't buying those tickets for those prices. To me, because if you look online, because I've tracked for probably at this point 70 or 80 shows I've tracked online now that I've wanted to go to. I didn't go to all of them per se, but a lot of those, about over half I went to. But if you look at the tickets are still there. The tickets show up and again, like I said in one of my other videos, tickets disappear and come back on because they want to play games with you. They want to just take them off so you think, oh, it's sold. I got to buy it at that price. Tickets come back. If you really look at if you follow a life cycle of ticket listings for just one show, just look every 3 days and take a look at how many tickets are on, you'll see tickets pop back up. But brokers are saying, hey, if someone's dumb enough, and there's my friend, I'm a UConn fan, he made a drunk purchase to the Eastern Regional for UConn in 2000, I think that was 2013. I was there too. I went to the Elite Eight game. But he bought the entire strip. So he had the Sweet 16 night at MSG, Iowa State, UConn, and then Virginia and Michigan State. And then he had, Sparty, Patrick, your rival Sparty. So then he bought that entire package because he was late night, had been drinking that night, was back at his crib, and just emotionally, those emotions got to him and he bought it. Hopper app, the track secondary app. Actually, what I'll say too, John, is that some of these Spartans, yeah. By the way, Patrick, not to get off topic again, Elite Eight, this is Shabazz Napier's year when we won the whole NCAA tournament. I buy tickets the night before on, I think, it was on StubHub. I bought them on StubHub. Called my friend and was like, hey, be ready to go. You want to go? And she was like, yeah, let's go. And we went, and I bought tickets below face value on StubHub. I think it was a losing Virginia fan who sold it. I ended up, most of the venue is UConn because it's in New York City. I'm in the Michigan State fan section. It's ridiculous. So I was stuck in the Michigan State fan section in the lower level. They had an upper and lower. And I was in oh, these tickets are really cheap. Someone sold them to me. It was either a Michigan State college kid or it was someone from Virginia. But, to be fair, didn't get a lot of heckling personally. They didn't say anything to me. They were just cheering loud. And we won. We won the national championship. So anyway, but that's a fun story. But that's an example. I went on StubHub, and my friend bought the entire strip. Now, he regrets nothing now because he doesn't. Oh, 90% of your families, but so you get it if you're Wolverine and they're Buckeye. But my friend made a drunk purchase, and it was quite expensive. He was able to make some of the money back for the first session where it was the Virginia, Michigan State, and then Iowa State, UConn. He sold those, and I think someone bought him, and he kind of made most of his money back just on that. And then he went to the second game, and UConn won the Elite Eight, upset that Michigan State team with Valentine and Gary Harris and a couple other guys. But he was luckily able to make his money back for the most part. He took a little bit of L, but the fact UConn won, that erased whatever money he lost. So he made an emotional purchase late at night, just a little bit tipsy, but that emotion got to him, and he made a purchase he regretted the next morning. He woke up like, what the, So that's what they try to feed off of, is they really try to play games with you to try to buy. And some people have the money, some people don't, and they still put the money down, and we're a nation of debt. So they're trying to get people to bite, and sometimes they do, but the majority of the time people aren't biting, okay? They're not biting until closer to the event. And the tickets may still be high, they may be face value, they may be lower, but I think people don't realize a lot of the tickets you see priced high just don't sell. Another thing I see, and one thing I'll tell you, is these brokers, they trade with each other. They buy each other's inventory they buy off of StubHub to fill an order that they may have fallen through. If you watch the Fire Festival documentary, they talk about Billy McFarland, and it was a very scumbaggish move, but it was rich people that ended up getting screwed over in that case. And sometimes it's not always rich people, but Billy McFarland did this with StubHub. He would buy tickets to Hamilton, right? Oh no, before he would buy the tickets, he would do what we call spec listing, but he wouldn't even do it on StubHub. He would make these postings to his people who bought his fraudulent credit card or whatever it was. It wasn't fraudulent. I'm allegedly, but it was just like the credit card company just it didn't end up working. But they were rich young people in New York City, and he started saying like meet and greet with Beyonce or Hamilton this or Hamilton that, and some of the stuff like you didn't meet Beyonce, but you could get tickets to Beyonce or Hamilton when Hamilton was popping off. Billy McFarland said, and he was to rich clientele, just give me $2,000, I'll get you these bomb seats. And what Billy McFarland did is he speculatively listed these. It's called spec listing. He sold something he didn't have, and then the day of the show or closer to showtime, he would buy from a broker or he would buy from StubHub tickets that were, so he said $2,000 for these Hamilton tickets, and he bought them for $1,500. And he was handing out tickets to people the day of the show. Now, that's the extreme crazy portion of it. And that's also someone who bought offline. And the key is what I want to reiterate is if you're going to buy from a secondary marketplace, I don't advise, you don't have to. I'm not advocating, but if you do, make sure you buy from the StubHub or Vivid Seat or SeatGeek. Do not buy from these other sites or do not buy from a posting. Most people know that. You guys watch my channel. You guys know that, but that's where you get screwed over. There's no insurance. But the one thing about on these secondary ticket marketplaces, when people speculatively list, there's penalties for these brokers if the sale falls through. So that site will get you different tickets. They'll just take a listing from their site, pay that seller, and get you other tickets. And then that seller who screwed up, they get charged the entire difference, or they get charged a certain percentage depending on how loyal, how trustworthy they are, how long they've been selling on StubHub. But they do get penalized, so it's a risky business. And sometimes tickets fall through, and sometimes you don't even notice it because what they'll do is like you may have bought a ticket, section 5, row 6. You bought fake Taylor Swift in 2015. Oh, you bought them in 2015. Okay, yeah. And like when you buy through stuff, the thing is, if something goes wrong, most times you won't even know because you can buy section 15, row 6, and you won't even notice. Like they won't have the seats right at the on sale because it's like to be determined. You have to wait till they're mailed to you. Or sometimes you just don't know, or you don't have to show a listing, and then those tickets fall through, and they'll get another listing from that same section and row. And same thing with Vivid Seats. They'll find a way to get tickets in that same section and row, and your order is filled. It's section 15, row 6, and you have tickets there, and you didn't even notice something fell through. But when that happens, these sellers do get punished. These sellers are banned from certain sites. There's information passed along to the secondary ticket marketplace from certain sellers who are unreliable, shady, creepy, and they don't let their listings go. These secondary ticket marketplaces check ISPs of where you're logging in from. They look at tickets. So when you upload a ticket to a StubHub, they're checking that barcode, and they have ways to see if it's valid or not. See if the barcode has been reissued. Like they're spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars at Vivid Seats, StubHub, even your local ticket broker, where if they get seats from someone, they're looking at those, and they have tools that Ticketmaster will let them use. So they go to Ticketmaster, they say, here's the barcode, is this valid or not? And this is all done to ensure that if you buy from a secondary marketplace, your ticket will work. And if it doesn't, you're going to get a replacement ticket, or you're going to get a refund and a credit. And if you ever get screwed over and your ticket does not work, first, don't panic. Second, leverage that business. Don't do it too much. Don't be a jerk, okay? Don't be a jerk. But say, hey, I was trying to go to this, and they may get you tickets that day, but they're going to follow up with you and say, hey, I'm sorry this happened. You can leverage that into another coupon, but do it respectfully. Don't ever say, I want this, this, and that. Just say, you know what? I just feel like the hassle was a lot. Is there anything else you can do? And they'll give you something else, because the thing is, people think StubHub and Vivid Seats and all this stuff, if they were so shady and if so many people were getting screwed over, they would be out of business right now. They would be completely out. And you look at some of the scams in New York City of other ticket sites that have been shut down, ticket brokers who have gone to jail for fraud and Ponzi schemes and different stuff. You can look up ticket broker Ponzi scheme. There was one in New York City. StubHub and Vivid Seats and eBay is own StubHub. They have stood the test of time because they are valid sites where it's less than For someone that worked at one of the sites, they told me it's like the amount of tickets that don't work at the gate are less than a half of 1%, half of 1%. So and that's like that was a couple of years. I don't know what it is now, but it's a very very rare that you're gonna get something wrong is gonna happen, and if it does, you're gonna get compensated in some way and then some because they don't want to. It would be bad PR if you didn't, and you can threaten that. You can threaten PR. You can da 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 da, and you can whatever, but they'll give you something. Don't be too much of it. If anything happens, don't be too much of a jerk, but just try to leverage it to say, hey, I need more than just a refund or just replacement tickets. I went through something, but it's very rare that'll happen. But there are these brokers do exchange tickets. They know each other. There's conferences in Las Vegas every year. But the thing that keeps them in check is the secondary ticket marketplaces and the users, the fans, are not buying certain stuff. And what that does is it causes them to lower their ticket prices. Because while you'll see the certain shows, the nostalgic acts, and the Fleetwood Macs, and the Dead End Companies, and even the Dave Matthews Bands, while certain shows are sold out and crazy, other stuff isn't selling as good as it does. By the way, John, Taylor Swift struggled last year to sell tickets to it was a Reputation tour, I think it was. She struggled to sell out the state. Now, she's selling out stadiums. She could sell out arenas still. She does do arenas. But Taylor Swift struggled last year to sell out her stadiums because the user was like, well, I love Taylor Swift, but she's kind of like, she's cool, but I don't want to go and pay this amount another year for the same show. There's a lot of kids that are growing out of Taylor Swift. Now, again, she's millions of fans across the country. Any arena, it's going to be sold out. But for stadiums, her fan base is shrinking. And she had to make some last minute deals on Ticketmaster because there was less demand than what stadium she was usually doing. So, and that's what I'm going to talk about at the end of this to close it out about the hope of us as fans. But that's another thing is certain acts, don't just think because it sold out last time it's going to sell out again and it's going to be the same experience. Every on sale and every ticket process is different because things change. A new album comes out. Let's look at Mumford & Sons, okay? Mumford & Sons had 2 good albums, and the joke was everything sounded the same. After the first 2 albums, everything kept either they were going to make a change. My friend Pete said this, and he eloquently said it. I'm just paraphrasing, and he was right. Either they were going to make the same stuff or they were going to be completely different. They made the same music. It didn't get received as well. And in Hartford, Connecticut, Mumford & Sons a couple of nights ago didn't sell out. In other markets, Mumford & Sons is not selling out these arenas. And it's because the music is so repetitive. And again, I love The Cave. I love Hopeless Wanderer. I love some of their early stuff. And I know that's cliche to say, but some of their newest stuff is forgettable. You listen to it, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's all right. And then it's forgettable. So fans aren't showing up. I've seen all the hits. I was there when they first started off, and I saw the hits. Now they're playing all this new stuff, and now things are changing to the point Mumford & Sons put measures to protect their tickets against brokers. And those tickets weren't even selling. They were like, look, if you buy a ticket in this pit, you cannot sell it anyway. You have to show ID. And they're like, yeah, we're sticking it to the brokers, which was, hey, that's a good measure to take and give your fans the close seats or close GA pit areas. They're playing in the round, but some of those seats did not sell. Some of those GA areas did not sell out because the demand was there. Now, Madison Square Garden, they had a pretty big crowd. I saw MSG on Twitter, pretty big crowd, but some of the other venues, they're not selling because they make the same stuff. And that's the thing. That's why I like the secondary, because it truly checks these brokers and forces them to lower prices. And one thing that you should also know is, I can't speak for every secondary marketplace, but certain secondary marketplaces, I know people who have worked in the seller departments of these marketplaces, they have incentives for people to sell tickets. Meaning, okay, well, of course you're going to sell these tickets at pretty good prices, but these tickets that you can't, sell at all, as long as it's a fair price, as long as you're not selling a 50-yard line ticket for $1 just to make the sale, as long as it's a fair price for what the demand is, you can sell this ticket $40, $50, $60 below face value if the market is there and there's tons of tickets left on site. the national championship game this year, Alabama and Clemson, tickets were well below face value from Ticketmaster. So they have incentives for people to be fair, to be just, to do it the right way and not be scumbags. And if you go by these rules, if you make tickets competitively priced on these secondary marketplaces, they are rewarded and they're put in programs where they get their sell fee is lower. Their fees to list on the site at times can be waived if they make the marketplace fun and great to buy. And StubHub, for a lot of baseball, for a lot of concerts that you don't have, it's a great market. SeatGeek, again, now they're aggregate, so they kind of use everything, but SeatGeek tries to get your stuff. They try to find the deals for you. Vivid Seats, you can find deals there too that are better than StubHub at times. And some of the ticket broker sites, they match with StubHub, or they try to get their tickets below that, their own broker sites. So, and they have guarantees too. And as long as you have a guarantee of some sort and you look up what site you're buying from, has a history of reviews, Reddit, Yelp, whatever, you can buy from there. But there's an incentive to get rid of the seat. And the person who gets 3 or 4 tickets, concerts below face value, they may come and say, you know what, I'll pay $15 above face because I've had 3 or 4 concerts I got deals on. And that's why what you'll see is some people just buy on StubHub because of their previous luck. You have a lot of college kids, high school kids, they have mommy and daddy's wallet, or they have their own money now, but they buy and they try to find a deal and they say, hey dad, these tickets are $10, these are $15. So they have these experiences with StubHub where it's below face value, and then sometimes, hey, the lawn seats, you know what? The venue is $32, StubHub is $35. But because of that history with StubHub, they just go on the StubHub. They don't even look on Ticketmaster because they're like, hey, StubHub always has a good deal. And all right, it's $35. They could have got it for $32 at the venue for this lawn seat, but they, a couple of dollars here or there, they don't care. And that's really what the secondaries try to do is, they're gonna have deals, but they try to get a loyal fan base of people who just go to them, and people just go to them. People I've talked to, there's famous celebrities and different people that just go to a ticket broker or go to StubHub and buy their tickets. They go to Vivid Seats and buy their tickets. Some of them have partnerships. Some of these actors and artists have partnerships with the secondary. SeatGeek is on so many podcasts, right? SeatGeek is always advertised. They're paying podcasters to advertise it, and what are they going to do? That personality is going to go on SeatGeek because they're getting paid by SeatGeek, and they're going to find a secondary. They're not going to go on Ticketmaster. They're just going to go on SeatGeek. So that's why you'll see some people just by habit go to certain secondaries because of past experience. And with DMB, for the Dave Matthews Band fans watching this video, I think one of the things that we look at is last winter was the best deals in a long time, if not ever, for DMB on StubHub, on eBay, on Vivid Seats. You had all these tickets, all this anger and frustration, rightfully so, that you could not get tickets to MSG Night 1 or 2, or even like a New Hampshire, you couldn't get tickets, or this show, the tickets were there, but they were $300 instead of $115. What happened? Tons of seats on StubHub. New Hampshire, Madison Square Garden, Seaville, these stops along the way, every show outside of Mohegan pretty much had a ticket on StubHub or Vivid Seats that was below face value after fees. And that's where the secondary comes into play. The secondary really gives a reality check to the promoter and the person pricing the tickets. And what we're seeing, and this is really what the future, and this is kind of what I kind of want to end on is what's happening right now is you have a lot of nostalgia acts. Some of them are bowing out. Rush bowed out a couple years ago. Allman Brothers, rest in peace to the Allman Brothers. I got the poster behind me. I went to that show at the Beacon, the first of their last shows on my birthday, 2014. No more Allman Brothers. So Derek Trucks is with Tedeschi Trucks. Very affordable ticket prices, by the way. Warren Haynes is with Government Mule. Very affordable tickets. So the nostalgia acts are breaking up. Bands are disbanding. Or artists are retiring. Elton John's about to bow out. Thank you, Elton John. I'm going to have your poster up next to my Billy Joel poster that's right up there. I got to get it framed. But I have the Elton John poster and that I got to get framed from last fall. So as these nostalgia acts get out of the market, and that the people from the 70s and 80s really start to bow out, what you're seeing from the late 80s and late and early 90s is these artists don't have as much nostalgia power. The Backstreet Boys are very affordable ticket prices. And unless they're in Vegas, like if Britney Spears tours and she does a couple, like if she was to do a world tour, the first time it'd be expensive. The second time the tickets would be half that on StubHub that next day. I mean, not the next day, close to the event. When a lot of nostalgia acts are only on Vegas residencies or New York City residencies, because if they go coast to coast nonstop, the value of their show is going to go down. Because the 80s and 90s, for whatever reason, hip hop and even a lot of the R&B and rock, a lot of the rock, most of the rock does not get to a Fleetwood Mac level now. Some of these bands are doing smaller venues. And I'm seeing that more artists from the late 80s, early 90s, they don't even have the power to tour in more than a 3,000 person arena. And they were triple platinum, quadruple platinum artists that were selling out arenas left and right, selling out stadiums. Remember, Dave Matthews Band used to sell out stadiums. And then they would have like another 30% of shows in their summer tour legs. So they would have more shows than they do now. And they were selling out stadiums for a lot of those shows. They were selling out baseball parks for some of those shows in the early to mid 2000s. So what does that say? That I think that the bubble, the ticket buying bubble is going to burst, and it may take 5 or 10 years, but the majority of stuff is already changing. The majority of concert tickets are not outrageously expensive on the secondary. Now on the primary, they may be. But on the secondary, you can get a pretty good deal. Now, we think about the most popular acts, the Drakes, the Ariana Grandes, and even the Taylor Swifts, the Ed Sheerans. Those are really a small portion of the market. These are the popular shows that sell out. They're on StubHub and eBay and everywhere else for ridiculous prices. This is the other everything else. Everything else is a small club show, a small, 3,000 person venue, a lot of it GA, some seats at the top, like a House of Blues. The majority of live music acts and live music experiences are affordable. But we obviously, the ones that we really want to go to, that we keep our eye and look up to, are the experiences where we get screwed over. But you can get a ticket to your local club or theater through a Ticket Fly or some other ticket marketplaces outside of Ticketmaster or Ticketmaster, and it's a $32 seat. I saw Humphreys McGee's first row of the balcony here in New Haven, Connecticut, and I paid about, $30, I think it was, and the show was sold out. Again, it wasn't like the show wasn't sold out. I mean, it wasn't sold. That's not true. It wasn't sold. There was seats in the back, but the lower floor was full. The lower balcony was full. And some people moved from the balcony downstairs in the second set. They wanted to dance. But it was a pretty full event. Shout out to College Street Music Hall. But the majority of shows are affordable. The majority of shows are checked by the secondary market. Greta Van Fleet, fourth row for $30. Yeah, right. Lil Zeppelin, as I call him. Lil Zeppelin. But anyway, I won't get into that too. But that's the thing, is there's a lot of great live music that is below face value. And the current... Oh, no, I got a little congestion. Give me 1 second, guys. The current market of 20-somethings, 30-somethings, they're not going to as many we are going to more experiences, but some of them are saying, you know what? I'm not going to Taylor Swift for the 5th year in a row. I'm not going to Ed Sheeran for the 3rd time in a row. They get that experience. They go see Beyonce once, and then that's it. Now, Beyonce sells out everything no matter what. But when you have a stadium, some of those Beyonce seats, as she keeps touring on StubHub, the tickets are going down. Now, the close seats are going to sell out. And in New York, in Atlanta, Chicago, those close seats are going to sell out. But a decent seat in the lower stadium level, mid-level, and especially the upper tier, what they are losing is their upper tier pricing. People are just saying, you know what? I'm not gonna sit that high up. I've seen Beyonce once. I put down, $200 to get a good view of her, and the new album's alright, and I'll dance to it when it's in the club. But I'm not gonna really go pay and drive and park to go see her. There's a change going on. 5 or 10 years ago, it was different. And actually, I would say 15 years ago, it's really started. Or people said, you know what? I don't want to collect stuff anymore. I don't want to collect cars. College tuition is higher for us millennials. We have more debt coming out of college. And this is just going to a state school. And I know, and not to get into a generational debate, but there are a lot of millennials my age who go to an expensive school they know they can't afford, and that's dumb on them. But there's a lot of millennials who come up, they don't have much money. Their parents can't afford for them to help them with college, and they have a lot of college debt. So they're saying, you know what? I'm not going to pay this for Beyonce except once. I don't want to collect cars. I don't want to collect this. I don't want that. I want experiences. So people paid for experiences, and collections of things went down. Car buying has gone down significantly with my generation, and new car buying especially is going down with my generation. So people aren't collecting items. People aren't buying property because they want to be more fluid and go city to city like their favorite artist. You have a lot of people that do 2 or 3 years in this city and they move here, so they're not buying property. So property ownership is down. Guitars need to go down. Yeah, guitars keep going up. The cost of and the Fender guitars and the Gibsons, the quality of a new one out of the warehouse is worse than it was. The quality isn't what it was 15 years ago. And although I will say Martin makes great. It's like certain brands still make great guitars. Martin guitars are still amazing. Some of them are on the cheaper end now, and you got to be careful. But Martin makes great. But anyway. But what I was trying to say is people wanted to buy experiences, but once they get that experience, once a lot of the millennials have gotten that experience, they've seen so and so live, they check them off the bucket list, and then that's it. You go see them once, maybe you see them twice, and that's it. Now every concert, there are a lot of first-time people at some of these shows, believe it or not, for Beyonce, for this, for that. Some younger fans, like my first D&B show was not until 2012, right? When I was 21, about to be 22. That was my first show. I've been listening to D&B for like a decade before that. I heard Ants Marching. I heard the mainstream stuff. That was my first show. So you have younger fans who didn't grow up with Destiny's Child, but know Beyonce because their mom grew up with Destiny's Child. Now they had a kid. The kid's 10. Time flies, right? So you have a lot of first-time buyers. That's what really buys up the demand, the first-time buyer. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people going to that show for the first time, especially the popular acts like a Beyonce and Eminem or Jay-Z. A lot of first-time people there that just have been waiting years. They didn't have the money, they didn't have this, and they go for that experience. But now a lot of people now are getting that experience, and they're saying, well, do I want to go and pay $70 for park? Well, no. Do I want to go pay $50 for parking, which it is at certain venues? Do I want to pay all this money in concessions? And then do I want to do all this stuff to go out to this show for the third time? Yeah, you're getting old when you remember Destiny's Child, right? You're right, Patrick. But do I want to do all this stuff, right? Do I want to do all this stuff just to sit in a seat at a live show? And I've already seen them 3 or 4 times. And their sets is the same set pretty much. They added 3 or 4 new songs, but it's the same set. A lot of people are saying no, and you're seeing the demand go down. Eric Church this last tour, even though he's younger, and I actually like him and some of the other counterculture country artists who are not doing the cliche stuff and are not trying to be more pop. I love him and Chris Stapleton, and there's a couple other cats that are doing it great. Sturgill Simpson. It's about the music. It's not about being pretty. It's not about, although the ladies love Eric Church, but it's not about being a pretty boy and I got you in them jeans, and it's like very basic writing. Their guitar parts are impressive. Their writing is some of their own. But anyway, the point is Eric Church, he's starting to see certain seats aren't selling out like they were a couple tours ago. And that's just what it is. The ticket prices go up. People are trying to cash in. And that's what's going on. And the thing is, with ticket buying, you got to be patient. You got to weigh all your options out. That's why I'm trying to open up and not make people be intimidated by about your options. You can buy on the box office. If the box office has a fair price after fees, go buy the darn ticket. Don't worry about the market or whatever. If it's a fair price, you just go buy the ticket. You can afford it, go buy the ticket. If the market seems wild, tickets are sold out, you're frustrated with the on sale, wait it out. Go see, all right, well, I live in New York City or I live in Boston, but if I go to the Albany, New York show or the Hartford show, the tickets may be cheaper. Demand may be down. The Providence, Rhode Island show, tickets may be cheaper. Demand may be down. What I'll be doing with John Mayer is I'm going to go to the Albany show. And that's not a knock on Albany. I love upstate New York, beautiful. But that first show, it was the first show of his tour a couple years ago. It's going to be the first show this year. The tickets are already pretty fairly priced. I know they're going to dip lower closer to the event time. Just happens to be that Albany, to get into Albany is just not as big of a draw as New York City. So when I go see John Mayer, I'm going to the first two shows. I bought Providence tickets, smaller market, and I'm going to Albany for the first show. I'm going to buy those tickets closer to the event, and I'll let you guys know how I did. But I'm going to those smaller markets because I don't want to have to pay an arm and a leg for the sold-out New York City show. So I'm going to the first two shows. I know he's going to mix up 5 or 6 different songs in and out of that set list for those nights. That's how John Mayer does it, so it's worth it to me. And I'm going to get a great deal in Albany. I'm excited to see how low it's going to drop closer to that event time. But you have to weigh your options out. You have to wait it out. You have to be patient with this new market. And the reality is Ticketmaster and Live Nation have driven us to the secondary market. We have no choice now. It happened in see, sports is a little different. Sports, the same things that are going on now in ticket buying for concerts. This is what was going on when the Patriots were on their come up, right? Not that you had to get kicked out of lobbies and all that stuff, but the prices just shot up. Patriots season ticket holders were sitting pretty because the team was mediocre. Even after the Packers-Patriots Super Bowl, tickets were very reasonable in the late 90s, early 2000s. Once they started winning, season tickets sold out. Once that happened, tickets kept going up and up. And the tickets really, the face value tickets aren't too bad for what the Patriots do and what they could charge, because like Jerry's World charges more for their face value seats than, but it's also a newer stadium indoors. But anyway, and it's not outdoors cold. But the point is, Patriots do it. The tickets are expensive, but the face value tickets are fair. The problem is there's like a 40-year wait list. But the issues with those Patriots fans I haven't been to a game in 2 years, and the issue is it's the wait list. It's $100 per ticket for the wait list. The tickets for the secondary are ridiculous. I saw Andrew Luck's first game at Gillette, which was moved to primetime, popular game, paid like $200 for some seats in the mid-level. Really, pretty good view in the mid-level. It's nice to have that elevation. And now just for like the Jets or the Bills, those tickets are $300. Maybe you can get it at $250 if you really hustle and wait it out closer to event time. But I mean, that's just how crazy the prices have gotten, even in the last 4 years. And I've only been to 3 Patriots games in person because of the prices. It's just ridiculous. And that's what's going on with tickets. But I think unlike football, because everything's not football, right? Football is an outlier. And the Patriots are on one of the biggest runs ever in football to win all this stuff. So most football tickets are cheap. The Browns, the Chargers, even some Eagles games, you'll find some tickets below face value, even though they just won a Super Bowl. For Giants games, when they end of the year, really low. Jets games, mad cheap. So there's feast and famine in football and baseball and basketball, and that's starting to happen now in concert buying. And just like sports, all these teams started to raise their prices, add these fees, put all this other stuff in the last 10 or 15 years ahead of ticket buying, and now ticket buying's caught up with the platinum seats and all these other scams. But at the end of the day, you go on StubHub, you can buy a Tuesday night game mad cheap. And that's what's happening with ticket buying. Now you're seeing that with DMB. The tickets are below, their tickets for Madison Square Garden were below face value. On StubHub, most times for Madison Square Garden, you're not getting a ticket below face value. And I'm talking a Knicks game when they haven't won in like 2 months. at home. So like it's hard because it's New York City, it's a big market. But on StubHub, DMB night 2, they were slightly below face value for the upper level seats. So that just goes to show you that the whole Ticketmaster and the band, for what they wanted to price it, they got hustled by the secondary market. Now they didn't lower the price, which hey, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but what they did do is some of the upper level seats they did, like there's $35 seats for some of the Pensacola and Nashville shows, I believe Nashville too, and they did that for some of that. They didn't lower the lower level seats, what they should. And there's some upper level pavilion seats that are $115 that used to be 85 or 75 plus fees. So some of the stuff isn't changing, but at the end of the day, you have options. You have to weigh your options out, and if you wait it out, you will win. If you see things, crazy prices of tickets, if you see different stuff, a lot of that's to make you bite, right? A lot of that's to make you pull the trigger. And also, one thing I forgot to add that I'll add now is you may see a lawn ticket for like $2,000 or like an upper level seat for like $1,000, outrageously priced compared to the market. All that means is that sometimes what that means is that the ticket broker actually is trying to get that deal through, or they don't have the ticket. They don't know if they're getting the ticket. They don't know if the ticket's going to be sent to them, and they're pricing it high to keep the listing on the website. And once they get the ticket in hand, they lower the price down. Or if they figure out that they have a deal with another broker to get this ticket, then they will lower that ticket price to market value. So if you see an outrageous $3,000 price lawn seat or a $3,000 price pit ticket, most times it's either to make someone crazy that's drunk enough to buy it, and they'll get you a ticket. If someone buys a $3,000 pit ticket drunkenly by mistake or in error or just for ha-has, that broker will then buy a ticket on StubHub, or they'll buy a ticket from another broker directly and fill that order. But most of the time, when it's a $3,000 price ticket, they're trying to negotiate a deal, or they're almost about to get their hands on tickets from a box office. And once they get the ticket price goes down. That's all I got for today. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was over an hour. The first 20 minutes is what really are worth it. Thank you guys for supporting me. Add your comments. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. That's all I got for today. It's your boy CounselorViz34. I'm out.